Good morning, everyone. My name is Julio, and I'm the head of international sales for Post Telecom. It's a big pleasure for me to welcome you to this Thursday forum today around a very interesting topic, eSIM for M2M and IoT business. With me in the studio, I have the honor and the pleasure to have two experts in the industry. I start with Walid, Director M2M Global Solution Sales within G&D. Big pleasure for us to welcome you today.
Thanks.
And equally, I have Goran Jokic from Post Technologies, who is the Telco Service Development Manager. And a very warm welcome today to join me in this hopefully fruitful discussion around RSM. So before we go into the details, I would like just to remind you that there is a chat where you can place your questions, and at the end of the session we will address those questions. If there will be too many, we will take some of them offline, but we intend to answer all your questions. Without further delay, I pass then the stage to you, Walid, to give us an overview about the industry, about this trend, about RSM, eSIM, and where are we going on an industry at a global level?
Okay, thanks. So first of all, Julio, thank you so much for having me here. Big thanks to Post for the trust that they are putting in G&D and personally in me. Really happy to be part of this. So maybe I take some few seconds to tell people what is G&D or the name. I mean, in a lot of, people know who is G&D, but some may not have a link to the name. So G&D is a company with 171 years old. We are doing security for a lot of stuff. Everybody from the people in the call that will be hearing this in a later stage definitely have either a secure element in their pocket, in their wallet, in the car that is done by G&D, or we secure some other thing that they did not know that G&D is part of. So we are trusted worldwide from different industries, starting from money printing, credit cards, SIM cards, car communications, and even passports. So we are securing a lot of things that you don't really need to think about, but you trust that you have it. And this is one of the things that I'm really happy to see, that Post is trusting G&D to be partnering with us for that. So just to give some numbers, I'm not detailing each and every single number that I have here. I mean, people can read that, read the reports. There's a link for a report there. But one important thing that I really need to highlight, and this is where the industry about M2M. So we have over 1 billion devices already out there that is already using that, utilizing that. We have a lot of SIM cards that we are managing or providing to see this is reality. This is nothing new. We are not talking about technology that comes in the future. We are talking about base ground. There's a lot of devices out there. There's a lot of things that you can do, and business is already out there. So really looking to that, looking to the number of cars that is already out there. So proudly to say that G&D is, let's say, in 8 out of the 10 top car models out there, which gives this chance for Post, for us, to work hand in hand to be able to support the available market and the future. So talking about these details, numbers are already there. You don't really need to talk about each and every one, but to highlight, as said, G&D is, at least based on the reports, we are the #1 in eSIM support for the industry. Trying to think about this in more details and really putting on our shoulders that when we talk about technology, when we think about, okay, what we are bringing to the industry, we should not really forget that there is a word outside, that we really need to care about the environment. So one of the big things that I think worldwide everybody is running around that is like how to make things more healthier, more looking to the environment, more eco-friendly. So this is really one of the main major advantages that we really think about when we move to eSIM. So moving to eSIM allows us to really reduce our carbon footprint, by reducing the plastic almost to zero, because you don't really need to have a plastic card in the hand, you don't really need to store it, you don't really need to transport it from A to B. But this is one of the things that always we need to keep in focus and really need to think about it.
So it's more than technology, yeah. It's a mission and a responsibility, and more than that, even a commitment that you are taking, and I think it's also shared by Post, to make things, to give our contribution for a better world.
Yes, that's really true, and this is one of the things that people consider sometimes as not really high important, but it is really important, and the more that you try to put in, this will save a lot of overheads that we will all be suffering, us or the next generation. So one, as always said, is like, life is not only today and tomorrow, you really need to think about the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, so looking more into details and trying to focus onto the eSIM, we as G&D, we are working with a lot of standard parties that try to standardize, to make things, it's not a project, it's not an object that we talk to Post and say, that's an interesting topic, take it and do it, and we are doing some stuff which is not based on a standardization. So we are very active promoting and moving with the parties like GSMA, for example, to define what does an eSIM look like? How does it behave? What is the specification behind it? How to integrate with external partners? How to do more work that is more standardized? So it's not by saying, okay, this works, and we don't know if you get an advanced option or if you want to change, but this is one of the real key features that you really need to think about. It's like what you are deploying is nothing that you would say, okay, it's a hit and run. No, it's something that is future-proof, it's based on standard, so working with any other partner, this would make life easy. And maybe I would take the chance to talk about a little bit of different specifications which is already out there. So really looking to the market, people would start talking about, okay, M2M, future-wise comes IoT, or M2M IoT, there's a big mix, there is specifications for that. So it's really important for the people to understand that as of today, and since 2013, the M2M specification that was provided, and namely the SGP02, is the only off-the-shelf specification provided for the machine-to-machine. Yes, if people will start talking, there is a specification coming up which is called IoT specs, which is namely SGP32. Mm-hmm. That's true, that's the future, everything needs to evolve, but for the time being, and as said, this is a well-established, or actually the only established specification available out in the market. And looking to the numbers we talked before, so as said, 8 out of the top 10 car manufacturers is already deploying that. So if you consider that this is the market out there, if you consider a car that would run for 10, 15 years, using the standard specification which is available and be ready for the future, that's true, but this will help you. So really looking to that, so different specifications are available, yes, but our main focus, what we talk about and what we are currently, as of today, positioning and what Post is partnering with us for, is the SGP02. Which
and for the service providers that are currently deploying solutions, eSIM solutions based on SGP02, yeah. When SGP32 will come in force and will become really a new standard. Yeah. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong, it's still under discussion and under the approval stream in GSMA. Yes. When it will come then to force and to live, would then be retro-compatible? It will be an evolution. So what would be then, are the mobile operators or the service providers requiring to do additional investment on their eSIM platform currently based on this current standard? How you see that?
That's a very interesting question, because as of today, the specifications are a little bit of compliant in the sense of the use case, but it may not be compliant to the sense of really supporting the current specification as it is. So the IoT standard is more based on the SGP22, which is coming from the consumer side. Correct. But what we are doing on G&D side is trying to help and support that by trying to make a kind of a layer that will provide our customers, our operators, our partners, to make life much more easier. So you will not, let's say, overnight have all devices moving to 32. So the SGP02, if it's a car, for example, that is produced this year, you need to make sure that it's running for the next 10, 15 years. So you cannot say, tomorrow everything is compliant to the new specs. No, that will not be true. But then you need to maintain the cars for today, for tomorrow, and then in the future. So maybe the future, and as you highlighted, that the specifications is still work in progress. So they may be coming out some POCs soon, but really to have it in mass market, I think this would take some time.
And that means that we have a single platform capable to comply with 2 different standards, let's call it like this, which is then a major advantage. And it's a point as well of sign when you select a partner to ensure that he's also future-proof. So you are not doing an investment only for the present, but for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow.
Thanks for the trust. And this is what we are trying to do, is to try to harmonize, at least for you, that any kind of integration is already covered. So any add-ons, any differences needs to be adapted, that's true, but at least this is what we are trying to do, is to reduce as much as possible the overheads and integrations between your platforms and our platforms.
Okay.
Taking that into more context.
Talking about platforms.
Yes, talking about the platform and talking about partners and talking about the future. So what G&D is, let's say, proudly discussing and having Post already on board is what we call our M2M 360 add-on. So this is the platform where we really rely 100% on the specifications, but really have a look to the future about the business, how business can be done, how the relation between partners can be done, how to reduce not only the specification change, but the integration points, how to make sure that when you, as Post, try to promote your profiles, your subscription to a partner, that it's not, this is a huge project, we really need to do integrations, we need to change our hardware. No, if the partner is fulfilling these specifications and either is onboarded or will be integrated to the system, and I think Goran, you will talk about the different implementation points, this will make his life, your life much easier, because you are using a standard and in the same time a kind of a business relation platform that allows you to decide your use cases, your business relations, with the minimal effort of integration, which is needed only for this context. So what we are trying to offer here is to say, okay, there has a lot of different perspectives to the market. You have profile providers who are interested, like yourself, to provide connectivity. There is somebody who built his hardware. So if it's today, for example, somebody's building his hardware in a meter, in a car, in a whatever, that is based on the current specification, but in the future he would use a different specification, we need to reduce the efforts, the overheads, not to overthink every time, okay, new project, new platform, new use cases, new changes. It will never change. So you care to connect a car, a meter, make your life easier. Use the specifications, but use different specifications. That's what needs really to be done.
Okay. Understood. So it's really a concept more than just a platform. It's a concept of ecosystem where technology plays a central role, but business and relationships are also not taking a side. And I believe that that's a little bit the sense behind the 360, because it's 360 degrees. It's use case, it's the ecosystem, it is the technology, and it is then all the device manufacturers and actors in this space.
Exactly. Okay. I mean, that's the whole concept, to try to look at the technology as an enablement, but the business is the final need for all of us. I mean, the Post interest, the partner interest, our interest is to make the business happen. It's not only to say, we have this technology that supports, but you really need to put it in context. You really need to look to the future. One of the things that I think you asked, it's about the evolution. It's about the technology, about the next step of the specification, how to look to that. This is what we as G&D, we are trying our best to make sure that you at the end will get a kind of a high-level interface or a high-level access point, which makes your life much more easier. So if you're talking about today, devices that is existing using SDP02, or looking in the future, the devices that supports the SDP32, you need to make your life easier. And this is what we, as said, on G&D side, we're trying our best to use this 360 approach to reduce as much as possible the overheads that impact any of our partners, to allow you to really perform the same use case, maybe with some different ticks, some different advancement because of the technology evolution, but at the end, you need to really reduce and think about that. So this is what we are trying to support yourself and support the whole industry by harmonizing that on the business side. Saying that, I would really like to thank you, thank everybody listening in, and move over to Grant, to
me. It will be me.
Yeah, sorry for that.
But thank you for all this overview that you have provided, the trends, the link with GSMA, what is the value added of having such platform, and where the industry is heading to. So I take the moment before moving to the next presentation or today and to the next part of our discussion today. I just want to remember our audience that the chat is there for questions, and feel free to start filling in, and at the end, the three of us, we will do our best to address all your questions. So we have talked about industry, we talk about what is the value that G&D can bring. Let's now go a little bit deeper. Let's see what Post can do together with our dear partner moving forward. So we start the story from the very beginning. What was the motivation for Post to take this trend and say, okay, this is the right thing for us to incorporate and be part of this journey? And you know, in a nutshell, there are four main pillars. So the first one, it's really the industry trend. Plastic, it's something that we need to dematerialize. You already briefly mentioned it in your introduction. And that means for us, as a trust partner for our customers and potential customers, the business readiness. That means business readiness. We are ready to take a step further. And that step further goes in which direction? It goes in the direction of the new technologies. So 5G, and it has been a topic discussed globally in many forums, in the Mobile World Congress, in the interactions we have with partners, with providers, with customers. It's being fueled by this world of M2M and IoT. So more the technology demands, more use cases, more business opportunities, but more flexibility is demanded to deploy globally and to cover the globe in an easy way. So it demands from us a solution that makes us more flexible and more agile. At the same time, it's not just about a SIM card. It's not just about enabling the standard connectivity. It's not about making a device available to generate data. That's a commodity. It's about opening the door, and Goran, you will deep dive and you will take us and invite us in that journey a little bit further on about use cases. So we are going to generate more value to our customers, together with flexibility, together with agility, and together with readiness. Last but not the least, and I'm glad that you have touched up front on the CSR responsibility in the ecological part of the business. Together, Post as a whole group with its partners, it's really embracing this commitment of the customer social responsibility or the corporate social responsibility, making sure that we make a better world behind us than what we found. So going a little bit more into the detail, if there are new standards, if there are new ways to approach the market, we need to have as well a new approach. We need to be in compliance and align with this approach. You have mentioned it very well. For us, we just launched the platform for the M2M business, but eSIM is not new. It is heavily driven by the consumer, the mobile phones, the wearables, but it's not yet the main standard for most of the business within M2M. So we want to be part of it, of course. And with the growing number of connected devices, as I've mentioned previously, with 5G, currently 6G, 7G, XG in the future, it makes the entire supply chain a little bit heavier if we don't have this type of technology. Yes. So yes, pushed by technology, but motivated by business. And I think that Post is taking the right steps to serve customers with the ambitions that are much more global than local. So when we talk about global and when we talk about the global reach, it's really the supply chain. Irrespective where the SIM cards or the chipset will be based, with eSIM we are capable to provide really the service, the connectivity that is required and everything that will come on top. Just like we would do today, but in a much more innovative manner, because the number of use cases that we are talking, it's different. The approach will be as well different. So a key point that some of the members of the audience has always raised to us is, what about those countries where permanent roaming is an issue? We can talk about Brazil, we can talk about Turkey, we can talk about China. So today we are not capable, or the operators, Post included, will not be able to do it in the standard way. So eSIM simply open up the possibility to do new business, to continue generating values, to open markets that right now were significantly more closer or would demand a dedicated streamline for the business in general. And when we talk about the technology trends, yes, we need to ensure that we would be able to capture and transfer that value to our customers through, for example, 5G. It is estimated that by 2030 there will be 50 billion. Currently you have 1 billion, but that will be 50 times more by 2030 globally, 50 billion connected devices. And it is important that those devices are generating data, because the value is behind the pure connectivity that currently most of the service providers are providing. So we really see this environment, this ecosystem, even like a car. A car is no longer just a car, it became an ecosystem, being really the catalyst to unleash the potential of current 5G, but also the future technology generations. I think that when we talk about business, everything it's great, the logic is well understood, but we need to answer the question, what does it mean in reality? So once again, just before passing it to Goran, I remind the audience, the chat is available, it's at your service, raise your questions, don't be shy. We will address it at the end of the presentation. Goran, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I will talk about how does this apply in the technology, how we apply this on the market. And just to remind you, last time when I've been here, so I talked about eSIM, so that was in March, I think, and I was focusing on why eSIM, what is the eSIM, and we talked a little bit about RSM, so remote subscription management. I didn't go too much in details. I'll try to talk about this here. So for me, it's like a second part of the previous presentation. It's an extension of this one, or episode 2. So, and I'm glad that I have here with my colleague and partner from GED, because without their support, we won't be able to be here. Because at this point of time, I promise that we are working on the platform to deploy, and currently we are actually live and ready to support all use cases that I'm going to talk about here. So I'm going to take an approach from the business perspective. So how this comes as a request from the market, how we see this as a request from different business. So one long time known request that coming to Post is, as Post, please provide us an eSIM with your subscription and connectivity solution, but we would like to have it in the way that we would like to switch to another MNO if you would like to do this in the future. So this solution is something we have done already for past year, many years. So it's not new to us. We have done that. We have been ready already in the field. We deployed that in the field. But at the time when we spoke in March, we were working on other use cases to address which were coming. And one of those that they came, for example, were asking us to provide profiles only, so it's connectivity, subscriptions that will be used on their own devices, on their own SIM cards. So they are not interested about producing our SIM cards, but they're interested about connectivity, right? So another request that we were seeing is that we are having connectivities, but there are devices in the field deployed maybe with another MNO. So we would like to switch and have a connectivity of Post and use opportunity, to have these solutions from Post and different type of products that we are deploying. Then we have a request coming. What about the countries you mentioned that where the roaming is forbidden? So how we address that? And we would like to have a solution from that can address this situation. So. Taking all these different requests, we probably didn't talk about other ones, so there are probably many other variants of different kind of. So I tried to group them in different kind of ideas how we are addressing this in our environment. So on this presentation here that you will see is that I try to explain a little bit how this, we call it use cases, okay? Again, there are variants of these use cases, and I think it will be difficult to now go through every one and explain every single case. So we group them in 4 of them, and we call them, for example, the first one, bootstrap profile, okay? That is, so Post to provide a SIM card with connectivity that we produce GND SIM card, and we deliver this to customer. The bootstrapping means that we deliver initial profile, default profile with the SIM card, and that we call it like bootstrap. It's the first profile that is installed on the SIM card.
Does it mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, yes, but does it mean you call it the bootstrap or the default profile, but it doesn't replace the fact that a different profile can be installed on top of it, correct?
Absolutely, different profile. This is the functionality of the SIM card, and I just, since you asked me, then let me explain then about how does it work. So the RSM is the remote subscription management, or somebody call it a remote subscription provisioning platform. Is a component that is there to push the profiles to the SIM cards, to replace the existing profile on the SIM card, to remove, delete, and so on. So it's a management of the profiles of the SIM card. Profiles are linked to the subscriptions, which customers is using. They're provisioned to the core network, and this is how customers are using subscriptions. So each profile that is on the SIM card is linked to the subscription. And remote subscription management platform is managing the profiles on the platform remotely. Now, talking about other use cases, profile distribution is just what I just said, is that we're able, with this platform, to distribute our profiles, so connectivity, while integrating to platforms of third parties or the partners' platforms, integrating to their existing solutions, and through this integration, we will deliver the profiles that can be used in the field. The third use cases is, as I mentioned, switch to Post. Again, we're talking about integrations between platform of the MNO or their partner, where we integrate to enable the switch. The switch can be done in the way that we replace what we call this default profile and the operational profile, or just send a new operational profile. That it's a variant, so I will not go too much in details on that. Then we have use case that you mentioned, that we have forbidden permanent roaming in certain countries, so we have to provide global connectivity, and that's the demand, and we are here partnering. We have to partner with other MNOs and use their profiles and integrate our platform to be able to deliver their profiles, and then have a solution that can enable global reach.
So basically, yes, Post will be seen as the provider. I'm just focusing now on the use case 4, yes, as the provider, irrespective if we are talking about our own profile or a profile of another partner, for example, in Brazil or in Turkey. So it's, again, the aspect of simplicity. Mm-hmm. Customers, final customers, do not need to go and try to get someone with presence in Brazil, but they can deal with us, because ultimately we are a portal, if we can call it like this. We are a portal that can open the door anywhere in the world.
Yes. So we will be facing to the customer. We will take care about subscriptions, and the customer will not have to contact different MNOs for having this solution. So yes, the picture is a bit maybe too much to explain in detail. So each use case requires different type of integration, and I'm referring to the HGP02 specification. So we're speaking about M2M RSP solution, which is defined in the specification, and all the interfacing that we are talking about here are standardized.
Now that you have touched the specifications topic, are we ready then for the future for SGP32?
So HGP32, I had the similar question last time that we spoke about that one, and this is why we bring us expert in the field, so he can answer the question. But yes, we are actually evolving. And last time I said that we are working on the solution, and we are actually deployed the solution. Now we are looking forward to see evolution of this, and we have partnered our G&D for being able to deliver this solution in the future, indeed.
Okay. So we are already today preparing the future.
Yes.
Great.
So I would like to focus just on use case 2, because I cannot go to, we don't have too much time to go in every single use case, because that one may be interesting, and there is probably different variants of this one. But here in the middle we have a customer, and he's interfacing Post as a partner. He's interfacing his device supplier and platform that is used by device vendor, and typically will request for the profiles from Post, and the profiles will, in certain situations, may have to be adapted to the needs of the customer. We will have what we call a profile template, which is allowing us to define the specific template for the specific type of profiles for the customer, if needed. And in background, together with G&D, and also together with G&D, we'll prepare the data and generate the data for the SIM card, so for the subscriptions, and they will be prepared and for use in the platform of G&D. This is what you see here, SMDP, so Subscription Manager Data Preparation. Is the platform where we store the profiles, and customer is then will be able to use this profile basically through the interfaces that will provide GUIs, so tools, or we can do instead on behalf of the customer. We can download, basically initiate the download to the SIM card to enable the SIM card with Post profiles. At the same time, we have interface to the Cisco control center that is allowing customer to provision the SIM card as well in the core network. It will allow him to see this consumption and manage the SIM card like we do today.
One question, and probably the question will be split for both of you. As a customer, and I think you've made a valid point, it's really in the center, and I think that the three of us agree that's the basis of any business. If I'm a new customer, and I look to that diagram, I start seeing arrows going a little bit in different directions. And I might say, well, eSIM is the future. We talk about agility, we talk about flexibility, but is it really that simple to ensure that my business, I'm an SMB, for example, and I am capable to take the benefit of eSIM? What is your take on the simplicity to implement such solution for a new joiner or for a customer that would like to take advantage of the eSIM capabilities?
Yes, so here we see a lot of arrows, but in fact, customer is when he has interfaces to Post as a partner, he has interface to device, so OEMs, and we have tools. So I'm trying to, just from customer perspective here, we have tools that he will use for managing his subscription. What I have in the next slide is that there is certain part that we need to do to establish the connectivity between the platforms. So here we're talking about integration between customer platform and our platform using standard interfaces. And this is, for this use case, the interface that we need to establish. This is the part of the project we need to execute. It is standard interface. We expect that there are no difficulties at this level of maturity after 10 years of being in the market, in the field that we have partner G&D who can help us, and they are committed to help us to build this ecosystem for us, for basically enabling us in delivering these solutions. So there is certain work, of course, to establish the connectivity, but that's not something that is, let's say, unknown, or it is a standard interface. I'm not using the acronyms. These are the interface names that will be needed for this use case. But at the end, when we establish that customer is having just interface to manage his subscription, so basically when the data is ready there and prepared and SIM cards in the field, any point of time they can just initiate and download post profile.
So basically for a customer, agility is still there, flexibility is still there, but most important, it's irrespective of the situation where the customer will sit, getting just a profile chipset or the SIM card and the profile, having already SIM cards but need to swap the current operator. The simplicity to do it remains there and remains core in this business line.
I think Vali was mentioning several times, try to make life easier to customer. So that I think he made a point, and I listened what he said. So our idea is so I'm coming from technology. I'll talk a lot about technology, but we try to hide this from customer as much as we can. There is, of course, certain work to be done in certain, so each use case is maybe specific. It will require certain analysis, maybe needs analysis, and try to adapt to the customer needs. But at the end, we are having tools that we are enabled to do and deploy the solution.
Yeah, and if you allow me to give a comment here, and I referenced that in my slide. So really looking to this diagram and the standards you're referring to, that's really the core. But what we are trying to provide with the 360 platform is to facilitate that any of the partners who is already integrated, they don't really need to think about it as project by project. Once they are part of, let's say, the bigger ecosystem, or once they already integrated towards the system, they are in. So, which means that the integrations would be reduced, all based on the standards. Yes, that's true. But once you are placing an anchor in, then this will be facilitated by saying, okay, now I need a partner sitting in this land. And this partner is already anchored to a system by one way or the other. Then things gets easier. So you don't really need to have the interface because it's already up and running. And this is what we as G&D trying to enable this on the technology side to make your business goes a little bit more easier. And it's not every time it's like, we need an integration project. And this is what I was saying in the beginning. So really, that needs to be done. But what we are trying on our side, the best, is that should be reduced to the minimal that is only needed. So other than that, it's already there, as already provided by the infrastructure.
But then it's where the strengths of a good partnership between Post and G&D plays a role, because the ecosystem cannot be just technology or just partners, but needs to be the combination of both. Okay.
So we are addressing here what we said before, the M2M that is already mature, I would say, for 10 years. And we have SIM cards that will be having a lifespan for 10 or 15 years more. And these solutions are required. We see them, as I explained, on the market, and every customer will have different specific needs that we will have to address, but we have the tools and means to deliver that. So basically, if the customer is already using G&D, for us it's even easier, but we are enabling different kind of integration and solutions that we can address.
So even if the SIM cards are not being provided by G&D, the solution Post Telecom put in place is future-proof and compatible with any kind of SIM cards over there in the market.
Basically, we are decoupling SIM card with connectivity and profiles. Yeah. So now these are two different objects that need to be provided. That is how I see it.
That's fantastic. I think
So
we are now...
With this, I would like to thank you for inviting me, and if there are some questions, I would be gladly answering them.
So we come to the moment that has been expected by our audience, hearing and recapping again the industry perspective, the motivation for Post, and what is the main ambition for Post on this field, and going down to the use case and what does it mean concretely in the daily life of our customers. I think we come then to an end in terms of presentation, and it's the time to answer questions. So we have the first question. Do you consider the complexity of SMSR change use case cannot motivate the ecosystem to move to the new SGP32 as soon as possible? So I would probably take this question to you, Walid, if you want to...
Yeah, okay. So I would really try to break it into two parts. So talking about SR change and the complexity about it, I completely agree. Because this is simply, let's say, how the technology was defined. But we cannot really say that this is a main driver for moving to the specs, because you already have devices out there. So to reduce this is to really try to look to something like what we are trying to offer, the 360 platform, to say, okay, once the integration is done, something for this SR swap would be a lot smoother, easier. This will not be that complicated, and you don't really need to integrate for the next level. So really, what we are trying to do in G&D, really seeing these complex things that we went through in different previous projects by saying, okay, how to improve that, how to pick that up. So for the future, that would be the second part of it. Yes, 32 would solve that because they don't really need that. But I would really also give a comment here. The EIM is more or less have a similar characteristics like the SR, which should be better, I agree. But keep in mind, you always need to have somebody who have the keys, somebody have the main lock, somebody who have access to the device itself.
Okay.
Hope that this answers the question.
Thank you. We have another question. Can you easily switch from a local profile to, for example, post profile and vice versa? I think this one, yes, I will leave Goran.
I think we are here referring to the use case 4 that I mentioned before. So now, it's a very good question indeed. So the point is that specification doesn't talk about this really. You know, if you talk about easily switching between the profiles, that's not the main aim of the solution that has been defined by GSMA. So it's not an intention with the solution to deliver this kind of easy switching. But this doesn't mean that we cannot do it. So that is, we have actually for that specific, it's a custom, I would say, solution that with help of G&D, we have a possibility to install an Java applet that can allow for this kind of switching between the profiles.
Okay.
And so it will be specific profiling for the customer, of course, and then the switching it can be automated, or it can be initiated remotely. I mean, this is something we will have to
look further. Yep, I think that the question could be tackled on both sides. So one, the use case 4, you know, with different profiles and switching with them. The other way to look at it is the combination of use case 2 and 3, meaning we swap, or our customers swap from an existing profile towards a post profile, or us simply providing our profile to someone else. So ultimately, yes, I agree. I think your answer really addressed the question. And from the same source of questions, I want to take the next one. How many local carrier profiles can be added in a SIM? So it's about how many eSIM profiles we can have on a chipset. So
I think
I mean, both of you can give them.
I think I had a similar question already in the previous. So the limitation is the actually memory of the SIM card. There is no limits in terms of how many profiles you can have. It simply depends on the size of the memory on the chipset. So that is basically how I see this. Indeed, in some cases you have actually limitation, but we are not. I think there is certain devices. For example, if you talk about consumer devices, that they are limiting up to a certain number of profiles. But we're talking about M2M here. That's not
yes, and once again, I don't think that this kind of limitation of that magic number is cast in stone in terms of specification. So it goes down really to the device and to that kind of capabilities.
But I'm really looking forward to see how many of these profiles customer needs, because yeah, it will be interesting. I don't know how many profiles would be required. I mean.
Yes. Yes.
Is
it as well your view, Walid? Do you share the same view in terms of this kind of limitation and this type of profiles, or for the time being we should not even talk about the limitation because it's so volatile in terms of the devices that are out there in the market?
Yeah, I would really, let's say, agree that the limitation is only about the size of the hardware, but the only thing that I would add here is it's completely not a really hard requirement in the sense of why should I have a lot of profiles? Can I manage that through the RSM platform from Post?
Yes.
If I can switch, so even if I need a couple of profiles, the main thing is about memory. It's like storing 3 text files or storing 5 presentations.
Correct.
This is, I mean, depending how the size of the profile looks like. We can have a very simple minor profile allowing only connectivity, or you can have a full-fledged profile with applets and. So also this is a factor.
Correct.
And end effect, if the platform is doing the steering, and if the hardware is not capable of handling as many profiles, just load whatever is needed for now, and then at a later stage, do a remote change or use some different concept.
If I may, I think this applies to different situations. So if we talk about updating SIM card, of course, this is the RSM, but this is what RSM does. But I think the question is maybe related more to the use case 4, when you would like to have multiple profiles on the SIM card and then switch between them. So I think there is no limitation, really. And
okay, thank you for your insights. We have a very interesting question. What about blockchain or cryptocurrency? So I don't think that cryptocurrency right now is the main topic for us right here. Blockchain could be interesting because it opens the door for other things, secure transactions and so on. And this I would then, Walid, what is your take? How do you see this combination of the eSIM world with your experience and with G&D large experience in security and blockchain? I think that part of the question we would be able at least to give some insight. The cryptocurrency I would park for the time being because unless, Goran, you see things in a different manner, I don't see really the link.
Surprised by the question because it's not the topic of the.
Exactly.
So if there is something linked to it, I would really love to know. But
I think it would be more on the commercial part of the business, on the M2M and IoT, which currently we are not really exploring as Post Telecom. But on the blockchain, I think it's a topic that is, it's constant in many global conferences, and a lot of people are talking about it. So I think that would be interesting to understand on 5G and roaming and M2M. What is your take on this?
So I would say, if you look to blockchain as such, it's a technology of encryption or maintaining data in a kind of a mode that secures the data and you can trace it back. Even if you look to the cryptocurrency, it's based on blockchain. So finally, it's boiling down to the play that's a blockchain. And on our side as G&D, as a security company, blockchain is on top of our list. Combining that with the eSIM as a kind of an add-on, as a security feature that would be provided by Post to the customers using the profile that is downloaded on the device, having some kind of blockchain functionality that the device can use to either do a payment via cryptocurrency, to do transaction security between the platform and the device itself. This all are use case driven, but really linking them makes sense, definitely. It's a good question, I would say, to try to understand. I mean, enabling the download of an eSIM from Post into the device. Maybe today, it's a simple connectivity profile. Maybe tomorrow, it's a full-fledged enabled with blockchain technology applets on board with a lot of other features that maybe we don't know about talking now. So all these use cases is enabled in your case because simply you have the ability, instead of sending somebody with a piece of plastic to go to the device, to unplug, replug, do over-the-air update, put all the resources in. The device itself can be over-the-air updated as well using some technology on board, whatever that is, secured by this transaction as well. So a lot of things can be done.
Okay.
I think it's a more broader theme that we cannot maybe address. Maybe in the next session we can talk about it.
I think we could look more because the service that comes on top of the technology, it's really an interesting topic that I believe all of us would be
just from a security point of view, solution audit that we have now is secure. So the blockchain doesn't add, in my view, a need. I mean, for the security or some deficiency on the security level. And
we have just a further clarification from the person asking the question. I'm asking this question about blockchain because there is one token, Nodal, doing like eSIM. Are you aware, both of you, aware about Nodal? Not really?
Not really.
Okay, well, but fine. At least I hope we were capable, and our experts, I would not take the credits for this, but our experts were capable to answer the question about the link with blockchain, value added, and the connectivity space. If we try to look, okay, we have here another question. Does Post Telecom try to optimize the size of profile to be able to use the integrated SIM, which should be used intensively in the very constrained IoT devices? I would probably, Goran, let you answer and give your views on this. How are we managing and looking on our demands towards GND on the profile creation? Are we really trying to optimize the size? For the time being, we are just going with standards and look for optimization in the future. What is your view on this?
So I think the profile needs certain amount of data to operate. So there's essential data that is required. We're talking about IMSI, SMSC address, things like this. So these things need to be in the SIM card. Any additional data that, for example, you don't need address book.
Correct.
I mean, that's not necessary, right?
Correct.
So, of course, we'll customize it to the need of the customer and try to minimize the footprint of this profile as much as...
So in a nutshell, we are really trying to optimize from the very beginning the creation of profiles. We have a standard profile. We are in this journey, baby steps, but already in the journey, the most important is we are in this journey. We started with what we consider as standard, as the ground point. But of course, if tomorrow there will be other demands, then we will tackle it on a case-by-case basis to optimize coming from the needs. Looking to our questions, I don't see more questions. We still have a little bit of time, few minutes left for a last-minute question. Given the fact that we are in Christmas time, there is always the last-minute gifts to be bought. So if there will be no more questions, I thank both of you, Goran, Walid, a really big thank you for your presence, for your contribution, for all your insights and expertise. I thank as well the audience for your time, attention, and motivation to be part of this journey with Post Telecom. And feel free to contact us offline to discuss any kinds of opportunity. But for now, I wish you a great day and a nice season. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.